ASFG Stories. Hello everyone, this is Matt Bosarge, and I'm happy to share with you these amazing stories from the people who make up our vibrant community. Stories that deserve to be treasured and celebrated.
My name's Kristen Fry. I'm originally from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. I've been at the school, I think this is my 19th year. My 12th year as assistant principal. I taught here for 7 years, and I took a year off between teaching and being the assistant principal. And that is my third rebound from Mexico. I have, to use the word that Mr. Bosarge used, I've rebounded 3 times. My first rebound was in 1994. I came to Guadalajara to teach English at a small language institute, and I had been teaching in the north of Canada for 6 weeks before that, and it was minus 50 for 6 weeks, and it was so cold, and I thought there must be a warmer place on earth. So I came to Guadalajara for a year, and that was the year of the devaluation of the peso. So I lasted about 6 months after that, but I had to get home to pay off some student loans, and I was making not very much money teaching English. But I learned a lot about the city that year. I took the bus to a bunch of businesses, and I taught at different businesses around the city. I taught in a small little institute in Providencia, and I had, I think, one of my best, most interesting teachers at that point, a woman named Ophelia Aragon, who had been teaching English in Guadalajara for years. After that year, I left, and I thought that I was done with Mexico. But within about a few months of being home again, I had dreams of returning to Guadalajara, and I did about a year and a half later. And I taught at the institute again, but then I got a job at the Tec de Monterrey, and I taught there for, I think, about 18 months, and I taught everything. I taught everything with a book, philosophy, oral communication, literature, writing, and it was just a fantastic experience. I got to meet a lot of people, a lot of great teachers, and a lot of great students. And I was there for about 18 months, and then I decided that I needed to go home. My sister was having a baby, and I wanted to be around for that. And winter hit when I got home, and I thought, I got the travel bug again. And this time I went to Japan for a year, and I taught English at an institute there. And again, I met some really great people and had a really great experience. But I was double homesick at that point, and I came back to Guadalajara for a wedding of friends after my year in Japan was over. And I went out for dinner with some friends, and I met a man named Robert Trent at the dinner who was looking for maybe a 5th and 6th grade language arts social studies teacher.
ASFG Stories. A community kept alive by those who live in it.
So he said that he was maybe looking for a teacher, and I said no, I don't really know what I want to do. And I went home and I talked to some friends, and they said, "Do you know what you just said no to?" And I said, "No." And I thought about it, and then I thought, but this would be my chance again to come back to Mexico. So I phoned him the next day or emailed him and said, I've reconsidered. And he set up an interview with Brian Merrill, the principal of middle school. And I went into Brian's office and I had all these things ready to tell him about myself and all my philosophy of teaching and everything that I thought he was going to ask in an interview. And he asked me a few questions about myself. And he asked, have you ever taught middle school? And I had to say, no, I've never taught in a middle school, but I've taught middle school age kids. I've taught them swimming, I've taught them English, I taught them first aid. And he said, so it's not like you've never seen a 12-year-old before, is it? And I said, no. And that was my interview. And a few months later, I was back in Canada and I got a call from Brian Merrill offering me a job at the American School. And I taught 5th and 6th grade language arts. And the next year I taught 8th grade history. And that was just fantastic. I taught world history to 8th grade students and realizing that was just the best age to talk about and learn about the world. And they had such great imagination, and it just seemed like such great timing. And I taught for 6 years that curriculum and learned so much about middle school and did all these projects with kids. And I just love doing projects. I love creating this opportunity for kids to interact with history in a creative and imaginative way. And I've just felt that I needed to learn more about the projects I was giving students. So I applied for a few programs in journalism, and I decided that if I got accepted into any of the programs, I would take that time and do it. And at the same time, I thought that I was finished with Mexico. And so I got accepted at King's College at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia. I'd never been there before. And I packed everything up and moved everything back to Canada.
ASFG Stories. A community kept alive by those who live in it.
Yeah, I became a student. I was, I think, 41 years old at the time, and I was with 22-year-old, 21-year-olds, and we did 8 weeks of what they called a boot camp, which was just radio, TV, writing, newspaper, everything to get us sort of going. And then we specialized in different parts of journalism. I did a workshop in TV. I did a workshop in long magazine articles. And it was just a fantastic year. I was able to do an internship in Winnipeg, Canada for a month at a magazine. And I just learned so much. And again, though, I just realized that I really wanted to be back either in Mexico or do some type of work in another country. And I didn't know what that looked like. And I got a call or contact with Mr. Markman, and he said that there was a position open for the assistant principal. And I thought, well, that might give me a chance to pay back my student loans again, be back in Mexico. And I took, again, one big suitcase and came back to Mexico thinking I would be here for 2 years to get that experience and see where I was going to go with it. And then about 12 years later, I'm doing a podcast at the American School talking about my whole experience coming back to Mexico. And it's been a great, great ride. And I don't know what the future holds, but I can't believe I've been here for 12 years.
What's your favorite thing about the American School?
I think my interaction with students, my work isn't always positive with students, but it's interesting, and I learn so much about the human condition when you work with middle school students, and the teachers that have chosen middle school as their profession are so dedicated and so creative and so funny that I'm very fortunate because I get, the funny kids and dedicated teachers and a fantastic office to work with every day. And it's not always easy, but it's very rewarding and very humbling as a career, I think. And I've enjoyed it, and I enjoy coming to school every day and working with the people I work with.
How would you like to be remembered?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think it really matters. I think it's just that you do your best every day and you enjoy what you do and you give back to the community as much as you can, and this school allows you to do that. So I think, I'm just lucky to be in a place where you're allowed to give back.
ASFG Stories. A community kept alive by those who live in it.
Este episodio terminó de editarse durante el periodo de contingencia escolar con motivo del COVID-19. Alumnos, padres de familia, maestros, los extrañamos mucho. Por favor, cuídense y sigan las indicaciones de prevención y atención. Nos vemos pronto.
Thanks for listening, ASFG. We hope you enjoyed this community story. Listen for us on Spotify or Anchor FM.
So, Fry, tell me, how does it feel to be so loved?
It's humbling. Thank you. Oh, stop it. You're crazy.